In a word, brrr. It's 7:40. Let's do this. Good evening, Hampton Roads. Good evening, Northeast North Carolina. My name is David Aldrich, Chief Meteorologist of WTKR News 3 Television, and you are watching First Warning Live, where we focus on all things weather, sponsored by Marco's Pizza because we get hungry from time to time. But what's very interesting here, what's most interesting and compelling is that we're going to turn warmer. Finally, like warmer, like above freezing? Yeah, we barely hit that today. We hit 32 in Norfolk today, but it's gradually going to turn warmer this week, with rain arriving later in the week, particularly Thursday evening. I'll talk more about that here in a moment. But we got to talk about these temperatures. 19, you got the frozen face. The record low, by the way, was 16 back in 1962 when John F. Kennedy was president. So for context, and I'm the king of context, we've been colder. Now, we did have, to be fair, a wind chill of 9, but 19 degrees, are you kidding me? That's cold. Did you know it was cold in Suffolk, too? It was 16 there. If the records were kept in Suffolk, I guess you'd say we tied it, but we didn't technically tie it. We did hit 16 back in 1962, but 19 occurred precisely at 7:15 this morning, and that's when we had our coldest wind chills, around 9, single digits, mind you. 20 was the low in Manio. We're talking Roanoke Island 20. That's cold. Melfa 20, 20 in Virginia Beach, 14 in Wakefield. Now, if you're keeping score, I like to give you context. We've hit the teens, he says. The teens 3 times this calendar year, right? We did it last on January 23rd, and we hit 19 on the 16th of January of this year. So, third time to do it, not the coldest. It ties what we had on the 16th, but it was cold, right? We've gotten through it, and it is connected to that sudden stratospheric warming event, which we'll talk about coming up in a moment. But 3 days in the teens this calendar year, those are some cold mornings. There's no question about that. So given the fact that the record low, as I mentioned, was 16, 1962, we didn't hit that. We hit freezing today. Freezing. The normal high this time of year is going back to, what was it? 1971 was the record high of 73. Normal high is 55. But the coldest record, what do we call that? We call that the record low max. It's such a crazy term. It is the lowest maximum we had was 29, set back in 1917. I'm so slow on my telestrator, you have to bear with me. So had we gotten only 28 for a high, or 27, we would have had a new obscure record broken. But this stays on the books now. We hit 32. We were 3 degrees above the record low max. These numbers don't just come arbitrarily. Be grateful, as I am, that when you come from this part of the world and this part of the country, Norfolk has a long-standing weather record that goes back to the 1800s. It's pretty amazing stuff. But the number I just shared with you goes back to 1917. If you're on the call, I would love to say hi to you. I do see some notes here. It looks like I had a question or a note from Mike Hicks back on the 9th of December. I'm a little slow, but to be fair, it's good to be back, Mike, because I was off, really since Wednesday, last week. But I'm here all week. I'm here all week this week, and I'm here a good part of next week, too. So too much water around Norfolk Beach for a good snow right now. Did you know it snowed a week ago today? Mike's probably like, yeah, I guess that's, yeah. We had 4 or 5 inches of snow. It was common around Williamsburg, Gloucester. You don't need me to tell you that. You know that to be true. So you have to say this was a front-end loaded winter. So far, so good. We've had some really cold air. We've had some really cold mornings. And we've had some snow a couple of times. In fact, one on Veterans Day and the one a week ago today. Satellite radar shows virtually clear skies tonight. Want to get you out the door. If you've got a comment, I'll load the new ones. I was showing you a comment from last week. I can do better than that. I can put your comments in here too. But just wanted to say hi to you and thank you for being here. See some notes here that might be trickling in. And we'll put the new ones in here. Got a couple ones from Kim Thompson-Jones, she just noted here. She says, good evening on this cold night. Yeah, it's definitely cold. Definitely cold here, Kim, and we're grateful that you're here. By the way, to make it worth your while, did I mention to you that Marco's has a deal of the week each week? This is no different. And because you're probably spending money, this is the second night of Hanukkah tonight. We're 10 days away from Christmas. What better way to celebrate even better deals than what you would have had on Cyber Monday a couple days back. But this is 50% off anything you decide to order at Marco's. If you use the promo code WTKR50, that's our call letters, marcos.com, they'll take half off your pizza, half off anything if you really want. They've got hot deals, they got pizza, they got desserts, pizza bowls, crazy bread or cheesy bread, wings, hot wings, salads, Greek salad, garden salads, you name it, 50% off right out of the gate if you use the promo code WTKR50. And yes, on time this week, I'm going to be giving out free pizza for a year. We gave it to Lynn Old last week. He is one of our folks who've commented before. He actually won the pizza certificate. But if you want to sign up, the 50% off is valid at any one of these 6 locations you see on the screen. 3 in Virginia Beach, 2 in Chesapeake, 1 in Norfolk. And of course, I don't want to leave out the fact that this pizza certificate, if you should win, your name would go here and you could use this for the rest of December. But if you get the certificate after the new year, you could use it for 12 individual pizzas. That's 1 large, 1 topping every month for a year that's free. That's got to save you some money, and I think it's a pretty sweet deal. But the Magnifico, if you're hungry tonight, you just want to order a pizza half off, you got it. You just have to use the promo code at marcos.com. All right, so I want to get back to the weather here, right? It's super cold now. Tomorrow morning, because the winds are dropping off right now, the feels-like temperature will be generally in the mid to upper teens. This morning, it felt like it was 9 or 5 or 4. Even last night at 11 o'clock at night, it still felt like it was the teens. High pressure is parked over around Myrtle Beach. There's another one over Mississippi, but this cold air isn't going to go away simply because the winds change out of the southwest, which they're doing right now. But it may actually take a little bit of the edge off tomorrow. So let me show you the wind chill forecast. Watch the clock at the top right. This takes you through 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. So we're generally in the upper teens, maybe mid-teens in some areas between, say, Franklin, Wakefield, or Hosky. But I generally think it's going to be cold, but maybe not as cold as it was this morning. Does that make sense? I'm just trying to keep this, keep it real, keeping it honest in the fact that tomorrow you're going to want the jacket. Any kid that's sitting at a bus stop, if they are going to school in the morning, to make sure that they're wearing plenty of layers. Other notes here, Taj Brown is being requested. I guess Kim is on here wanting to know where's Taj. We'll find out. We'll find out as we go. But let me keep you moving because it's now 7:47, and you can see by midday tomorrow, the wind chills are not much of a factor. We've got 5 to 10 mile-an-hour winds tomorrow, generally out of the southwest, but they could become so light that it might be considered a southwest wind slash VRB, variable, right? I'm thinking about 5 to 10 for tomorrow. And even by midday, it might be 39, which is where I expect to be. It'll feel like maybe it's 32. So we're going to take some of the edge off some of the cold air that you and I have experienced here over the last 24, 36 hours. Love the fact that you're here. Let me give you an idea of some more context. Veterans Day, we had 0.2 inches of snow. Now, some of you are going to laugh at this because you're like, I got more than that. I had 4 or 5 inches of snow a week ago today. I realize that. But for those of you who are keeping score in the Norfolk area, and I did import the comment from Mike a moment ago saying there's too much water around Norfolk for it to snow. Well, we did get just under an inch. So 0.8 fell a week ago today, giving us a seasonal total of 1 inch. Is that a big deal? No. We average maybe a little bit more, obviously about 3 or 4 inches, but generally, yeah, I expect it'll be changing. Now, the astronomical start of winter is just a few short days away. If I told you that we're 6 days away from summer and you stop me and you cut me off, then you forget the other part. We are 6 days away from summer in the southern hemisphere. You see how I did that? It's very crafty. You were waiting for it. You knew I'd come back to it. Winter solstice, though, even though it's been super cold, we had some snow. Astronomically speaking, that's the key word. Astronomically speaking, we are 6 days away from winter. Technically, you got snow and I got a cold chill this morning from fall. Astronomical fall, right? We're almost to the end here. Now, winter officially begins at 10:03 in the morning on Sunday the 21st. So you could, send out a tweet, you could send out a message, you could send someone a DM and say, hey, season's greetings. Some people get excited about the winter solstice, and if that's you, do you want to know what time that occurs? That's precisely at 10:03, because if you look at the big scheme of the picture here, the solar energy is greatest in the southern hemisphere during the winter solstice. So anywhere around the Tropic of Capricorn, that's where the hot weather is typically. So we think of summer in Australia, summer in South America, but for us, some of the cold air is just beginning to lurk and linger not far away. Got Kim Thompson. She's got a follow-up. Hi, Kim. Great to see you here. She's got a follow-up. She says, I will let my faucets drip tonight. Guess they will be dripping tonight also. Yeah, it's interesting. I had this conversation very recently with our own meteorologist, Tony Nargi. He's worked 2 years in Duluth. I've worked 4 years in Rochester, New York. And so in those communities, telling people to drip their faucets isn't commonly done or expected because they're well insulated. It's kind of like if you go to Florida, you would think every piece of construction, every new home in Florida has to be able to withstand a certain number of categories of a hurricane, right? So they're usually, if you're in a cold weather climate like a Duluth, Minnesota, like a Rochester, New York, you're used to, your pipes are not hanging out there for exposure. I like to say if you're in the single digits and you want to drip the faucets, by all means, you can always open the cabinetry underneath the sink just to let some air circulate. That's helpful, even in lieu of dripping. But if you're in the 20s, low 20s, upper teens, it's a preference. I think it could be a preference. Just depends on where your threshold is. Do you want to be extra mindful that, hey, it's real cold, but to open the faucets or drip the faucets when it's 32 degrees is kind of overkill. You don't need to do that. But typically when the pipes are exposed, the outside wall, you could have some issues down the road. But I do think last night when we dropped to 19 or 16 in Suffolk, it would have probably been a pretty good idea to, at a minimum, open up the cabinetry underneath the kitchen sink. All right, weather headlines. Ooh, I got the scope there. Isn't that something? Why did I do that? I can tell you why. This Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, guess who's going to be in the air? Is it the Norfolk Admirals? No. It's Mickey. Disney on Ice coming into town. It's Mickey's search party. I guess they've missed Mickey somewhere. Where did Mickey go? I don't know. I guess you have to buy a ticket to find out how that drama unfolds. But that's this weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. A couple of shows Saturday and Sunday. In addition to all the other things going on, I got some other notes because I'm a note taker. Bring this up to speed here. We got Breakfast with Santa in Hampton. They also have a pool party at the Hampton, Virginia Aquaplex, a North Pole pool party. Kind of cool. Suffolk has a Breakfast at Santa. There's a Grinch brunch. Virginia Beach, made notes, Virginia Beach and Williamsburg has a Grinch brunch. If you ever wanted to have brunch with Grinch. Cookies with Santa at Williamsburg Lodge. Mentioned the Winter Solstice, 10:03 in on Sunday morning. And then you got Santa s'mores and more at Virginia Beach in addition to Disney on Ice. So that's just a sample. And if you're like me, I got to go to all these holiday parties and I got greeting cards to finish. You know, there's a lot going on. Even though we're at the second night of Hanukkah, we're just 10 days away from Christmas, so maybe if you're like me, you still have one or two gifts you still have to get to, and maybe you just need some motivation, so let me hopefully encourage you there. Let me help you with the weather, though. Cold again tonight. Temps in the 20s to start Tuesday. Wind chills will be in the mid to upper teens. Now, plenty of sunshine tomorrow. Highs will struggle to reach 44. That's what I expect tomorrow. And then we're warming back to near 60. Isn't that sounds too lofty? 60? Are you sure about that? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think we have a good chance of hitting 60 degrees on Thursday, and we'll be pretty close to it Friday, but Friday we're going to be dropping. So temperatures will be reversing and going in the other direction as we head toward Friday itself in response to an approaching cold front. Current conditions show it's virtually clear. I see a lot of moonlight from our METAR airport codes, from Williamsburg to Manio, Kitty Hawk to Edenton to Virginia Beach and Elizabeth City. So tomorrow, I expect it to be mostly sunny in the morning, maybe a few wispy clouds, high clouds, but then it's sunny side up at noon, sunny side up at 4, clear at 7. Even though it's 39, it may feel like it's 32. Winds only 5 to 10, and the sun will set again tomorrow at 4:50 in the afternoon or evening. It was 4 to 48 for a string of days earlier this month, but now we're beginning to see a couple minutes grow here, maybe a little bit of a change now. Sun's up at 7:11 in the morning on Tuesday, so if that helps you plan accordingly, so be it. Glad to be here, glad to have you all here. Oh, I see Lynn O. He is the winner of last week's pizza certificate from Marco's. A big shout out to Lynn. He has a follow-up note here. Says everybody wants you at the holiday party. I'll be there. You just let me know. Send me a DM. I'll be there if I can. But I'm going to be here all week. So there's no short abridged live streaming this week. I'm here tonight, tomorrow, Thursday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And I'm going to be here Monday, Tuesday next week. So fear not. I'm here to keep you priced. But if you're dreaming of a white Christmas, keep dreaming, my friend, because it's going to be warm. But I do think it's going to turn sharply colder. I'm letting all this out on a hot mic. It's going to turn sharply colder again like it is now, about 2-3 days after Christmas. Why is that? We'll talk about it. It has a lot to do with the sudden stratospheric warming event and how things kind of all come back around. Because remember, if you don't remember, I'll share it with you. This is kind of interesting to see. Way back on the 18th of November, I showed you this. And I said, this is a good indication, a good canary in the coal mine a good harbinger that this warm air in the stratosphere would translate to some really cold air about 30 to 40 days later. Well, guess what? It got here in about 27 days. Because today is what? Today is the 15th, right? 15th of December, that is what today is. So we'll put 12/15. But this says November 18th. So I said, give it about 30 days. It's kind of like, I use the analogy, it's like you think all is good until you're on a paddleboard, right? All the weather forecast says it's going to be great, but you didn't forecast a speedboat coming by, and then all of a sudden your waves come in 30 seconds later. Well, instead of 30 seconds later, it was like 30 days later. And I think what we're now beginning to see today is a manifestation of the cold air that was advertised when I showed you this back on the 18th of November. And I've also shown you some other interesting maps here that would suggest that by the time we get closer to New Year's, that we would have a really cold end to the new year. And now it's probably, since it's coming in at 27, 28 days later, this may very well, this is a close-up view of it, it's really warm where you see the brown areas here. And this is just north of Lake Superior. So I think you're going to find a big surge of cold air around the 27th, 28th of December. So 27, 28, that's 2-3 days after Christmas. That's the next one like this, where Kim might be wanting to drip her pipes. That's just on the table. And sometimes people say, surprise, how did it get so cold? You know, it was like negative 34 wind chill in Iowa and Minnesota a couple of days ago. I said it would be modified by the time it got here. By the time it got here, it felt like it was 9. But 9, to me, is better than negative 34. You with me? I think you are. Okay, so this is where we are. Talking about the temperatures, we'll struggle to hit 44. If we only hit 42 tomorrow, so be it. But we'll take what we can get. Let's focus, if we could, on the rain chance. The next rain chance comes in on Thursday. Now, this shows at 5 o'clock. It's kind of filling in. It's not quite all over the Outer Banks just yet. But you'll notice once it gets dark, most of the energy is where? It's back here. This is 8 o'clock. I think the bulk of this energy will be coming in around, say, 1 or 4 in the morning on Friday. But guess what? Once the sun comes up Friday, it begins to retreat, and we have a sunny finish to our Friday. So really, the timing of this is going to be interesting. If it changes, I will let you know. But even at 2:30 on Friday morning, the bulk of the rain is over the Outer Banks. It's over Elizabeth City. It's over Edenton, and it's stretching across the eastern shore of Exmoor and Cape Charles. So by the time we hit 8 o'clock Friday morning, this is where I expect it to be, and you can see that there's still some showers here. So I'm going to leave a 40% chance during the morning, but the afternoon it's like sunny. Sunny, because this represents 1 o'clock Friday afternoon. So to summarize all this in just graphic form, I have a 30, 70, 40% expectation, meaning that you're going to wait all day. If I put a higher chance of probability of rain here, you'd be like waiting all day. It's going to come in late. And then the bulk of it comes while many of us are asleep. I'm not going to assume everybody sleeps when I sleep, but if you're asleep between midnight and 5 or 6 in the morning, you're going to miss it, right? This is going to be when it happens. And then there's still some showers on Friday morning, but then it exits pretty quickly. Another way to look at this is the way I'm going to show it to you, right? I'll put this full screen. This shows you what I expect on Thursday into early Friday. Notice this at 4 o'clock, 8 o'clock, midnight, spikes around 4 a.m., right? Spikes. And then by the time we hit, say, 8 o'clock in the morning, it's gone back down to about 40%, and then it's gone. So there will be a sharp cutoff, but the way things are timing out, if I put 60 or 70% on Thursday and Friday, you'd be like, it didn't rain that much. Most of it's at night. Does that help? I hope it helps, because I'm trying to be first warning. I was first warning about November 18th that we would get cold before the end of the year. Now we had a snap. Now I think we're going to get another cold snap sometime around the 27th to 28th of December. And it may be sharp or just as sharp as this cold snap, but then again, it could bounce back like a rubber band, and just like it does in all cases, like waves at the ocean front, they ebb and flow. Temperature right now, it is now 7:59. It is time now for your 8 o'clock temperatures. They're populating on my computer right now, right before your very eyes. It's 22 in Suffolk. That's cold. It's 26 in Cape Charles. Currituck, you're at 25. Manio, 29. So if you're watching me live, there's not much difference. Is there a difference in the wind chill? You be the judge. I see 20, 24. Let me go back to the current conditions, current temperatures. 26 in Portsmouth, 25 Norfolk. Feels like it's about 25 Norfolk, right? There's not much wind at this moment. In fact, if I do a little refresh on my laptop, I can give you an idea. Yeah, right now it's 25. with a 3-mile-an-hour wind. 3 miles an hour from the south isn't going to change or make the wind chill any more harsh. We had that harsh wind chill yesterday when we had a peak wind gust of 45 miles an hour at Norfolk International. 45 with that type of air mass was brutal, made it very, very cold. So tonight's lows could easily squeeze down to about 19. Franklin, 19-20 for Suffolk, about 19 for Ahoskie, and 24 for Edenton. Tonight's lows could easily drop to Matthews at 21, Corolla at 28, and I got Moyock around 18 degrees. So there's going to be some variability. But you don't have to be an atmospheric scientist. You don't have to be a meteorologist to see how cold it is across this part of the country. And when that sudden stratospheric warming events happen, and they do happen occasionally, yeah, there's a party in there from Lynn, it can certainly drop the temperature. Because look at this. It is now 15 degrees in Detroit. It's 10 degrees warmer in Virginia Beach at 25. But, I mean, look at this. Rapid City, South Dakota, is twice our temperature. They're at 50. Now, people are probably focused on Phoenix. I like to be there at 74. Or maybe South Florida. They're probably nice, too. But all things considered, this will snap back. It's not going to stay with us the whole time. I got some other notes that are popping up here. Taj Brown is on here. Am I missing a birthday? He says, thanks for the early birthday wishes. Well, happy birthday if I missed it. And if I'm ahead of the game, glad to know that you're a year older and a year wiser, Taj. Glad to have you here. Who else is on here? Lynn Ole was wishing you a happy birthday. So maybe I'm catching this conversation in mid-stride or midstream. But either way, it is now 8:01. You can clearly see how cold it is in Minneapolis, St. Paul. They're at 21. And Chicago is at 21 degrees, while Detroit is at 15. Bangor, Maine is currently at 15, while Pittsburgh is at 16. Now, if you were hoping for a white Christmas, as I said, keep dreaming. There'll be other opportunities. We had our chance last Monday. If you lived in Williamsburg or live in Williamsburg or traveling through Gloucester or Matthews or any of our northern peninsula counties, northern parts of our viewing area, you had some snow. But this would take us through the 29th of December. I think what's lying in wait, this will come to adjust. It'll push the warmth here. There'll be another surge about 2 to 3 days after Christmas. You see notice I keep saying that, 2 to 3 days after Christmas. Because if I don't say that, if it doesn't stick with you, repetition is the mother of learning. If I tell you it's going to get really cold again 2 to 3 days after Christmas, then someone will say, hey, yeah, he said that. Yeah, I think he did. He said it. All right, going back to the temperature trend. This is where I expect to be this week, 60. That's a very lofty number right now to digest, given the fact that normal high is 55. We'll be struggling to hit 44 tomorrow. But Wednesday, if you're headed out to maybe Winterfest on the Battleship Wisconsin, maybe Wednesday night would be the best night. I'm hearing that their value prices go up after Thursday. They'll be doing premium prices. It's like $4 extra. So save some money. Go out and check out some beautiful Christmas lights. WTKR News 3 is a sponsor of Winterfest this year at the Battleship Wisconsin. So check it out. Notice I have a down arrow on Friday because once the front comes by, I think we'll be dropping in temperature, but fear not, Saturday looks mostly sunny. It's just kind of cold. Temperature's about 45 for the afternoon. It is time now for weather trivia. Some of you love to have the interactivity. This is your chance. And I had to do some follow-up because I didn't know the answer to this Tony Nargi question. Meteorology Tony Nargi did this question, although he didn't know it was a snow woman. I found out that was the case. But the question is still the same essence. Where was the world's tallest snow woman built? In which of these United States states? Is it Maine, A, B, Minnesota, or C, Colorado? I'll give you 30 seconds. I can tell you that this tallest snow woman was replaced in 2020 to the country of Austria. So Austria has now surpassed what was the tallest snow woman. I believe they have a snowman in Austria. They beat it by like 3 feet. So this was like Guinness World Record stuff. But if you have a guess, this would be a great time to interact with you. Lynn Old is on here saying, better late than never. I'm glad that you're here, Lynn, and I'm really glad that you get to have a free pizza every month that we're here. Let's see here. Ashley wants to know, how about Franklin? I'm going to get to that more in a second. Coming up in just a moment, Ashley, I'll review some of the lows tonight. But my question to you for weather trivia is, where was the world's tallest snow woman built? Was it in Maine, A, B, Minnesota, or C, Colorado? I got a note from Ashley. Ashley's quick on the draw. Says she thinks it's Colorado with a C. And the answer is surprising. It's in New England. I mean, this was a 122-foot snow woman built in Bethel, Maine in 2008. And in 2020, I've since learned that this was surpassed. Somebody beat it 12 years later, because this was 2008, 2020. I guess during COVID, Austria suddenly came out with a taller 125. So you're talking about something that was about 30 feet shorter than the Statue of Liberty without the base. This is pretty tall. I would show you a picture, but I don't have the rights to that photo, so you can Google it. But it was bigger than the crane that was surrounding it. Very, very tall snow woman, because this thing had eyelashes, and I guess they decided Bethel, Maine was the place for that. So if you won the trivia question, congratulations. Polar vortex, we talk about the cold air of the Arctic, moves counterclockwise naturally, usually, that's what we would expect, but sometimes there can be a displacement when there's a rapid warm-up at the level of 6 miles to 31 miles up. I show you a lot of maps that are about 10 or 11 miles up. The Arctic air can sometimes come down. And that kind of catches a lot of people off guard. I use the analogy of a stand-up paddleboard, because you might think the forecast is great, but you didn't forecast the motorboat that sped by and gave you the waves. Similarly, a lot of models don't see the stratospheric warming, so they don't anticipate what's going to happen about 27 to 30 days later, which is what we saw just back on the 18th of November. It occurred yesterday and today, the 15th and 14th of December. So let me show you today's map. I'll show you today's map. This is the 15th today. And it does look like it's still very, very warm in parts of the Arctic and back toward Canada. So it's still, my suspicion is that we're going to still have some bouts of really cold weather going through about the 15th of December. Keep in mind, I said by the time we get to Dr. King Day 2026, I believe that's the 19th of January, we're probably going to see some of this retreat, and some of the La Nina effects will go back to El Enso neutral. We'll be back to a neutral phase heading into next year. But as I point this out, I do think by the time we get to about the 27th, 28th of December, that's 2-3 days after Christmas, be prepared for another sharply cold snap of air. Doesn't necessarily mean it's snowy, but cold air is typically dry. And when you look at the upper air pattern, you can see it does ebb and flow. The purple colors here are in fact cold. This takes you through Christmas. So this would put an end to the idea that we're going to get rain or snow on Christmas. I think rain might come after Christmas, but even still, a white Christmas, I think this year is off the table. We had our whoop-de-doo hurrah last Monday. Many areas did get some snowflakes a week ago today. And as we look at December 25th, you can see there's more where this came from. So if you think it's just going to be warm forever, these things do tend to move back down, and they will eventually come back to a neighborhood near you. You can see how this moves around. Follow the clock. This kind of comes in like lobes. It's just one piece of energy after the next. And I think eventually some of this that you see here that's bottled up will eventually come back down in time for about 2 to 3 days after Christmas, when everybody's like, man, it's going to turn cold again. Yeah, it was cold today. Let's be fair. It is now 8:07. I'm going to wrap up here in a few moments. 32. We barely got to freezing today, and we took all day to get there. Similarly, if we're 10 degrees warmer tomorrow, 42, 44, in that range, I think that's certainly within reason. But there's no debating the fact that this has been a cold December for Norfolk. If you look at these dates or look at these numbers, 32's high today is even colder than what it was last Tuesday, when it was 39. Now we've had 13 days below normal. We are now running almost 8.5 to 9 degrees below normal for the month. And we're halfway through the month. So 8.5, 8.7, somewhere in there. So almost 9 degrees below normal. It's astounding. It's astonishing to have it this cold coming off of what we had a very hot June and July. If you remember, many of you might have remembered how hot it was, and it kind of turned its corner as soon as we hit August. We've been trending on this cooler trend on the map. If you've got a comment, you've got a question, this would be a great time to wrap it up things. See, Taj is on here. He was guessing A. If you guessed A, then you were correct. You got your Maine was in there. So that is also correct. And you'll notice that the only normal day we had in quotation marks was December 2nd. It was 58 here. And we had 58 again on Saturday before the bottom dropped out. We know that Sunday, even though the high was 49, that occurred like 7, 8 in the morning. And then it went down the drain, as we know in many cases, with the cold air moving in yesterday evening. So there's the outlook as a whole. Now, I'd like to show you airport delays, because if weather has an implication on air travel, why not? Yeah, I kind of carry over from Thanksgiving holiday weekend. But there seems to be nothing slowing down any air travel tonight, despite the fact that we have some wet weather out out west. If you're in the military and you've got family in Northern California, Oregon, or Wisconsin, Oregon or Washington State, or even Montana, they've got a few showers here. Pretty quiet across the deep south, really quiet across much of Florida, although if you move further south toward the Florida Keys, looks like a few showers near Cuba and South Florida itself. And then we had some snow still lingering, some lake effect snow guns coming off of Lake Ontario up toward the Tug Hill Plateau. You can see that snow affecting Watertown at this hour. Now, as I mentioned, the 8 o'clock temperatures are now 22 in Chesapeake, 25 in Hampton, 22 in Suffolk. And as you can see, our temperatures 21 in Ahoskie, 25 Elizabeth City, and Moyock's coming in at 28. If you look around the country, at least the regional view, you do see some teens once you get up toward Pittsburgh and Columbus. They're currently at 16 and 19 respectively. Now, as far as temperatures, we showed you this a moment ago. All this cold air in purple has been draining down, and eventually it will begin to retreat, and we'll kind of get back up to around 60, I think, as we head toward Thursday of this week. Now, the white hot, actually it's the white cold, suggested coming down from Canada does move across the Great Lakes. It kind of oozes in and oozes out. We'll stop this, I believe, right around Christmas time, and you'll see it's not too bad, right? It starts to turn orange. That's a warm weather color for the 5,000-foot level that we will find a pretty mild Christmas still ahead, and really not much to see beyond the above normal temperatures across much of the country. Time now for the Eastern Shore forecast. 41 for Bloxham, 40 for Chincoteague, Saxes, and Onancock. I'm expecting 39 for Cape Charles tomorrow. Lots of sunshine there. Beautiful Cape Charles. And Exmoor at 40 degrees. 44 Kill Devil Hills, 45 Manio, 46 Rodanthe, and 47 in Ocracoke and Hatteras for tomorrow. Storm Prediction Center may take maybe an official break from all the severe weather because we just don't have any. In fact, it looks quiet across the country here. It looks quiet on Tuesday across the lower 48. And guess what? Wednesday, same thing. Nothing to see here, so it really is quieting down for this time of year. Really not much to see other than expecting on Wednesday maybe a few scattered clouds. Now, as far as the clouds are concerned, you can see tonight, 11 o'clock, we have a few clouds to the north. We're going to stay light with the winds generally out of the southwest. That's a warm weather direction, but it's not going to feel that warm when it's about feeling like 18 to 20 in the morning on Tuesday. But you'll find mostly sunny skies. Even those clouds disappear at noon. There's hardly any cloud cover at all, and a 5-mile-an-hour wind at that. So it's really a great looking day. It's just winds might be more variable once they go under 5 miles an hour, and that suggests 3 around 4 o'clock on Tuesday. Tomorrow night's mostly clear. By Wednesday, we start to see some of these clouds return. These are mid to high level clouds. And then by, say, 5 o'clock Wednesday, still partly cloudy, if not mostly cloudy at times. I showed you this surface map, or at least a version of it, a moment ago. You can see the next front's going to be coming in from Minnesota and sliding into the Ohio Valley. By Thursday night, it'll fill in here, especially while many of us put our head on the pillow Thursday night. So here's your Tuesday morning forecast. I believe the question I was getting came from Ashley. She wanted to know about her temperature, I think, in Franklin. Ashley Herder, is that right? I believe it is. So how many degrees in Franklin? Yeah, we'll be dropping generally about 23 on the south side. 26 in the peninsula is about 22 North Carolina. I have Franklin tonight down to 19. 19, as you can see pictured here, that's how cold it'll be, and probably more likely with very light winds. Might feel like it's in the lower teens in terms of wind chill. Elizabeth City 21, Duck 28, and 27 around Cape Charles for lows, about 22 for Newport News. Smithfield, our friends in Gatesville, about 20. Chesapeake also around 20 degrees. Tomorrow's just a great looking afternoon. Sunny side up. I got us at 42 for the peninsulas, 44 for the south side, 45 North Carolina. And if we hit 47 in Edenton, so be it. It wouldn't surprise me. But about 43 for Hampton, 39 for Cape Charles, but 43 for Virginia Beach. So there will be a little bit of a warm-up, given the fact we're going to get above freezing tomorrow. About 45 for Moyock, 44 for Nags Head and Corolla. Here's your first warning, WTKR News 370 forecast. So warming up to 53 on Wednesday, that's good. 60, some might say, hey, now we're moving in the right direction, but then it's going to go do-do-do-do, like the Pac-Man sound when you get eaten by a ghost. 58 and falling on Friday. So I've got early rain to sunshine and just a beautiful looking day, although a bit cold. Saturday at 45. So really tomorrow and Saturday are pretty similar in the respect that they'll be in the mid-40s. I have a few showers returning on Sunday. Right now, left a 30% chance, but dry on Monday at 47. Got a couple of cool happy shots. This comes by way of our friend Katrina Gay. She's been on this live stream before. She's one of our WTKR photographers. She captured this beautiful sunset. Thank you, Katrina, for sharing that with us. James River. This was from this morning. Our friend Bradley Fullwood took this, also on the WTKR Facebook group page from Fort Monroe, Hampton. Love it, sunrise there this morning. And lastly, Captain John Smith there from Susan McCall, the historic Jamestown sunset. Yes, that's how they spell Jamestown in the historic version they do. But I love the fact that she had so much color in that sunset picture taken a few days ago, I gathered from her post. So Susan, thank you so much for sharing that with us. Love these pictures because, again, it's nice to be able to have some hope if you're really kind of feeling sad that it got cold. At least you know that around here anyway, if you're watching us from afar, we invite you to come and visit us anytime, holidays or in the spring or summer. That's what we're here for. Come on out to the Outer Banks, the Eastern Shore, or Virginia Beach, just to name a few. There's so many places to visit. So just to recap, first warning forecast, 44 tomorrow, 53 on Wednesday, 60 on Thursday. I mentioned there's the deal of a week. The best number here is 50% off. I don't know about you, but when I was doing shopping, back on Cyber Monday, I wasn't getting 50% off. I might have gotten like free shipping, and I was all giddy about that. But this gives you 50% off anything you order between now and Saturday, because it is the deal of the week. So you're a winner just from having watched this. If you go to marcos.com, I mentioned there's so many things that you might decide to order: pizza, a pizzoli, maybe a dessert, subs, maybe a cheesy bread, a Greek salad, maybe some hot wings. You've got all sorts of choices, and every one of those are eligible if you go to this webpage, marcos.com. Any one of the 6 locations would be happy to service you with 50% off your pizza, but it'll also give you the free pizza certificate if you happen to win on Thursday. All it is and all it requires is 1 minute, maybe 2 minutes to fill in your email address and your mailing address so that if you win on Thursday, we can send you that certificate. Go to WTKR.com/Marcos. We've had many winners since last May when actually we started doing this. Started doing this back in May, and I can tell you this, a lot of people are excited. We've been giving out pizza, hundreds and hundreds of pizzas since May, and we'll be giving away 22 on Thursday. That's 12 to one individual person, and then we'll send out 10 pizzas to folks who may not have ever tried Marcos. Maybe it's something you've been waiting to do or wanting to do, and if you get a free pizza, sometimes it makes it even extra more special. Just checking in with you. Thank you so much for your time on here. I got Taj. He says, great morning. He's got birthday rain maybe in his forecast. Who knows? But I'm glad that you're here, Taj. I'll have to read up on those notes after the stream is over. Just remember, it doesn't matter if the weather is sunny or if it's seriously cold. Every day is a gift. It is. Every day is a gift. So make the most of it in your neighborhood, and we'll see you here tomorrow. Take care.